Hey, it's Kevin. Thank you so much for stopping by for another No BS social media chat. Today we're talking about, well, part of your personal brand. And to me, social media and personal branding, while they don't go hand in hand necessarily, especially if you want to use social media to build your visibility online, to build your celebrity, to build your, well, whatever you're using it for, to build your business, the one thing you need to remember, the one thing you need to take away, and I'm sure we've touched on this before, but I've never really addressed it in just one direct post, is you need to be authentic. You know, as I said back in the day, I got into country music radio in the late 1970s when I was just a small child, when I was just a baby DJ. And it wasn't because I liked country music. In fact, I didn't like country music. I didn't know anything about country music. It was where the first job was. But I did my best to learn everything I could about country music to try to be authentic. But I never lied about liking things I didn't like. I never lied about who I was. In the country music world, in the world of the stereotypes, everybody thinks that people who like country music like to hunt, like to fish, are very conservative in their politics, whatever it is. And that wasn't always me. And I really made a conscious choice to stay away from the things I knew people wouldn't be interested in. Like I said, back in the day, nobody wanted to know that I liked funk music, that I had certain hobbies and interests, antiquing and things like that. And this goes back into the 1980s when I was very young, that didn't kind of fit with the demographic. So I didn't necessarily speak about it. I didn't hide it. I just didn't talk about it. But I also didn't pretend to be something I wasn't. I didn't tend to want to portray myself as somebody who I wasn't. Well, I latched on to the fact is that I like NASCAR. And I got more involved in NASCAR. And so with country music and NASCAR going hand in hand, I got to be the NASCAR guy at most of the radio stations I worked at. And I got to be the champion of NASCAR. And I was the guy that everybody talked NASCAR about. And that was a country music value, if you will. Well, now that I'm involved in all sorts of formats and all sorts of parts of the music business, the entertainment business, things like that, I can be who I want to be. Again, I was never being inauthentic. I just wasn't sharing those things I knew that my audience wouldn't understand or wouldn't care about. But I also made a point of never lying about who I was. I'll never forget years ago, we had some piece for a radio station I worked at, and this goes back to about 1984 and 1985. And one of the questions we were asking in our little bio was who our idol was. And I've never really had an idol. So again, this is 1984, 85. I posted it was Billy Idol was my idol. Now, to most country people, it was either just a flip response, a silly response, but at the time he was pretty popular and my hair still kind of stood up on end like it does now. And we were kind of similar and people laughed. I didn't idolize Billy Idol. I enjoyed his music. I was a big fan, but it wasn't an idol thing. I could get away with kind of being who I was without being who I was. Well, in this world of the internet now, and I had this discussion with a new client a couple of weeks ago about being authentic, about being who you are. Be true to who you are. And I said, especially for media personalities, people are now more accepting of your outside interest other than if you're in country music, that you like country music, if you like rock, you like rock. All the years I worked, in country radio, nobody understood how much I knew about rock music, how much I loved rock music, how much I was interested in rock music. I didn't make a big deal about it. It was okay, but again, it was an interest. Well, if you're interested in all sorts of formats, if you're interested in hunting, fishing, sewing, square dancing, antiquing, who cares? It doesn't matter anymore. The world has become more evolved in all of those things, so you can share parts of those personalities. Again, you got to make sure it works with the demographic. If you're into, say, gay rights, and you're talking to a very conservative, organization or a very conservative, fan base, okay, you may have some problems there, and you're going to pay the price. Yeah, again, you're being judged, and we talked about that last week. But you got to be authentic to who you are, and that's why I always tell people to stay away from the politics of sex and religion, because those are always the discussions that we all have varying differences of views on. We all have unique views. My wife and I have different views on all those things. We get along, we're fine with each other's views, but we respect the differences. Sometimes your fans, your followers, your friends aren't going to be that way, so you have to tread lightly. So the best way to be authentic is to not tread at all. Except, again, and we've talked about this, if you've got conservative politics and conservative views and you want to share those with the world, well, realize you're going to lose some fans who aren't sharing those values, but at least you're being authentic. And I respect people, whether I agree with them or not, who are being authentic, who are being true to who they are, more than people who are trying to be out there and be phony. Yeah, the rule of fake it until you make it works a lot in social media, but it doesn't work in the long run. It's a short-term game where you really need to be looking at the long-term game. I've always said, social media is a sprint, or is a marathon, not a sprint. Excuse me, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And too many people are worried about, well, the sprint. They're too worried about the quick. They're too worried about faking it till they make it, instead of being authentic. Be authentic. It's going to pay off, I promise. See you next week. Another No BS Social Media Chat. NoBSSocial.com, our website. Of course, No BS Social, our username as well. On YouTube, find us on Facebook. We don't have the No BS Social page on Facebook, but you can find them on our Intensity Media page on Facebook each and every week. Just type in No BS Social in a Google search, and you'll find us. Find me right here at the end. Phone number, email. Let's chat. See you next week. Thanks.